Hello, this is Faith, that Catholic unschooling coach. I always have to think before I say that. But this is the fifth part of my series I'm doing on how I channeled curriculum fever or curriculum anxiety, relying on curriculum as being, the equivalent of a good education, and instead channeled it into much more productive things that were really conducive to learning in my family. So this fifth thing is really, I found it vital, and I found it a sure cure for anxiety. And what it was journaling what my kids learned during the day. And I didn't think this up. Somebody recommended doing it. I think at one point I was, complaining about feeling anxious, and someone said, well, why don't you try journaling? I think it was Leonie Westenberg, who is, if you don't know of her, because all her kids are grown up now, but she had, I think, 7 sons, and she's in Australia. Lovely, lovely, wonderful human being. And she unschooled all of her sons, and she was just so incredibly creative and wise. But anyway, I think she's the one that told me, sorry, I have hair in my mouth. She's the one that told me about it, so I think that's my recollection. So anyway, whenever I would journal, I would be absolutely amazed at all the learning that had gone on during the day. And I wasn't even aware of it. It wasn't until I had to sit and think and write it down that I became aware of all these little interactions or observations that I would have completely been oblivious to, or I wouldn't have valued as learning, because learning only happens when you're sitting and doing school, right? So if you're just having a conversation or someone's just making an observation, you don't see it as learning. But in fact, it's probably has more impact than that workbook that you're forcing your kid to rush through because they're trying to get it done. So journaling really, really helped. And whenever I would be really anxious, I would get out of the habit, and I would get more and more anxious. And then I would remember, oh yeah, why don't I just sit and journal? And so I would. And it was amazing how, just within a couple of days of journaling, I would feel better. And I would see that I'd been wrong, and that there was lots and lots of learning going on under the surface. So just as an example, I'll tell you what I did this morning with the little 4-year-old that I watch. And you can see, and as I was writing it, I was remembering more and more stuff that had gone on. And so I'll just read what I just wrote down, just to give you an example. So let's see. This morning he woke up. Forget what time. He had changed himself, so that was a big thing, because usually he comes up in his pajamas and I have to help change him, but he had already done that. And he came up to play with his new Alphabots. This is a cute little toy that I got him. It's 26 letters of the alphabet, but they transform into little robots. And I don't know why, but little boys just love these things, and they're really fun. I gave it to him yesterday morning, and he has been keeping them in a little bag that he's been carrying around with him. So when he came up, I told him he had to keep them in his bookcase. He has a little bookcase of his own in our family room with all his books and games and things in it, and he had to keep it there. He couldn't take it downstairs with him. So he came out to play with those. And he made up a game where he turned all the letters into the robots, and then they would fight, and then when one lost, it would be turned back into its letter. So that was kind of neat. Then he had a small breakfast. I just cooked him some sausages for him. And we always read over breakfast. And I told him I wanted to start. I've been reading Bible stories to him, but just sort of hit or miss. So I said, why don't we start reading from the beginning, and we can go all the way to the end. By the end of your pre-K, we'll have read all of the children's Bible stories. So he thought that was a good idea. So we started off with creation, which we had read before. And in this Bible, they have like a little question to ask at the end of each story. I should have brought the Bible so I could show. It's a Catholic version of a popular children's Bible that has little cartoon figures in it, illustrations in it. So yeah, the questions we asked and answers, what did God make first? He couldn't remember, so we had to go back to that. And what did God made last? And he remembered it was humans. All right, and then we put his shoes on and we went to give chickens. We just got chickens back in May. And I get up and feed them in the morning because they get too noisy. They're too hungry to wait for him. They want to eat early. But he gets to feed them their grit and their oyster shells, which are other things you have to give chicken. So he got to feed that. And then he noticed that there's a cicada shell that's stuck to our swing set. It's been stuck for weeks, and he just regularly notices it's still up there. We can't believe how strong this glue is. We've had storms come through and rains, and this cicada shell is still stuck there. So he noticed that. And then I gave him a little pocket magnifying glass, just because we're doing this pre-K thing. So for some reason, I can't remember why he asked about what sweat was. Maybe he was feeling sweaty because it's really muggy and gross out today. It's a gross August subtropical day out. And so he asked what sweat was. So I was explaining what sweat was, and then I mentioned pores. So then we started looking through the magnifying glasses at our pores, which was interesting. Then we decided to go for a short walk. I didn't want to go for a long one because it was hot and because I wanted to mow the back lawn. So we went for a short walk, and we really didn't see much, but we did, usually we walk along and observe lots of nature and that sort of thing. But we had our magnifying glasses. He was having fun making the light reflect. Oh, I forgot to write that down. He was really getting into reflecting the light. But we did look at the undersides of some leaves as we walked along. So that was a good thing. Let's see. Oh yeah, we always stop at this one sign, and I read the big words, and then he knows how to read N-O. So he read no, and then I would say swimming, and then it would say no. It's this pond, it's this drainage pond with these signs. And so we read that sign together, which is something we do a lot. But we made it a short walk because it wasn't pleasant out. But then we got back, and I got out the push. I have one of those mechanical push mowers that our backyard isn't very big. It's mostly garden, so the lawn part is kind of a mess where the swing set is and everything. And so I just have this hand mower, and so I mowed the lawn real quick while he was just playing. I'm not sure what he was doing. He was just playing in the garden and in the yard, maybe hanging out with the chickens. And then we came in, and he played with the alphabet some more. Then he was hungry again, so I made him some toast. And then he wanted me to read to him, so he picked My Father's Dragon, which is, we've been reading those 3 books of that series. I think he got them for Christmas, or did he get them for his last birthday? But anyway, we have been reading those 3 books over and over again. He absolutely loves them. And he won't let me read him any other chapter books. He only wants My Father's Dragon and then the other 2. So we were reading that again. But we noticed this time the word boars, the animal boars. What do boars look like? What are boars? That was a question that came up. And banyan tree. He wanted to know what a banyan tree looked like. So we looked up what a banyan tree looked like, and then we found out they grow in India. So then he wanted to go to the globe and look for, because he asked me, is India in Africa? And I said, no, it's another country altogether. Africa is a continent, and India is a country that's in a different place. So we went and we looked on a map, and we noticed the Indian Ocean as well between Africa and India. And then we looked at pictures of boars, and that made us get out a book of North American mammals, and they did not have boars. So maybe they're not native to America, and the boars that we have are like feral pigs. We were talking about that. So we looked at pictures of boars. And then, let's see, I'm losing my track. Yeah, we went through the guide, and when we got out the North American Mammal Guide, he got interested in squirrels. So we started looking at squirrels and other like voles and shrews. We were looking at these different rodents. That's what he got interested in. Then we finished doing that, and he started playing with his alphabots again. But this time he started to want to make words, because yesterday he spelled my name with the alphabots. So because he made them into letters, and then so he wound up spelling the word lose and love and exit and clover, which is the name of our cat, among other words. And then he would also make up words. He would put letters together and ask me if that made a word. I would say no. Or, well, if you change a couple letters, it'll make this word. And then he would sometimes get the letter backwards. And so he'd say, oh, no, the D goes the other way or something. So that was kind of good. Then we realized we had not brushed teeth. So we came up to my room, we brushed teeth. And then I wanted to clean my bathroom, make my bed. So we have a box of Legos we keep in our closet. So whenever I come upstairs, he has something to play with while I'm doing stuff. And so he was playing with the Legos while I was cleaning. And I noticed he was starting to stack. So some of the Legos are flowers. There's flowers and then there's the blocks. And he was showing me that this stack was taller than that stack, or these stacks were even. They both had 5 or something like that. So he was just naturally doing this comparison stuff while he was playing with the Legos. And then I was finished with cleaning, and I needed to go back downstairs for something, and he came down with me, but then I realized he hadn't picked up the Legos, so I sent him back upstairs to do that. He didn't really want to do that, but he went reluctantly, and he did clean up all the Legos. So that was good without me even watching. So that was very good. And then for some reason we started talking about dogs, because we had a Sheltie who died suddenly about 18 months ago or so. And then we tried to rescue a dog, and we couldn't keep the dog for a long time. We only kept the dog for actually 8 months. We tried with this dog. But it was such a handful, I couldn't. We were getting complaints from neighbors. It was just too much to handle. So we had to hand him back. And so ever since then, because I want a dog, I'm like, nobody else in the family wants a dog. But I want a dog, and he wants a dog. So we always daydream about dogs. And we have a book of about dogs, one of those sort of Usborne or that type, DK or whatever, books on dogs. So we were looking through that. And he wanted to know what were those dogs that are long, that have little legs. And so we looked up dachshunds. So he wants a dachshund, but I was looking at the corgis. I want a corgi. Anyway, so we were just having fun doing that. And then he found this soft stuffed ball. It was really a baby toy of his from a long time ago. And we started playing catch, which is good because you want to teach them eye coordination. So we were throwing it back and forth, and we were doing 2-handed throws and aiming and 1-handed throw. And I was saying I'm left-handed, so I throw with my left hand. He's right. I think he's going to be right-handed, so he throws with his right hand. And then he was moving back further. And then he started getting silly. He wanted to use one of his stuffed animals as a bat and that sort of thing. It started to fall apart a little bit. And then I got distracted by something, some email or something I was supposed to do. And so he did go and start playing Pokemon. And then after a bit, he started to get hungry. So we started to make mac and cheese. That was about 11:40 or something. And then his mom came up. She came up a little bit early today. So then she took over from there. So that was our morning, and it was absolutely rich with learning, and that is a really good morning for a 4-year-old, right? He did geography, and, we did science, and, all sorts of math, and all sorts of things if you wanted to put it into educational ease. So it was a very rich morning, and that's the kind of stuff that goes on all the time in home learning, but we don't value it for what it is. And it's far richer, and it has longer sticking value or sticking power than anything you do with the curriculum, most of the time. Some kids might really take to curriculum, but I'm just talking about my family. But this was just a much more pleasant, it's bonding, it's relational, it's relaxed, it's joyful, and it's rich. It's really, really rich. So journaling, if you can journal your kids' learning, and I just do it by typing in my Word program and just stream of consciousness trying to remember what went on. And as I write, I always remember more and then have to go back and fill in more. I never get it all down because it's that rich. So journaling is a really, really good way to deal with your unschooling anxiety, and to channel your energy. It's better to spend time journaling what learning is naturally going on than time worrying over your curriculum or lesson planning and that sort of thing. All right, so that's it for now, and I'll talk to you later. God bless. Bye.